That's us, Philly's number one college radio station, WHIP. 215-204-9449 is our number if you want to call and hang with us. NFL Network's Thursday Night Football continues this week when the Philadelphia Eagles host the Kansas City Chiefs at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Coverage begins at 6 p.m. Eastern Time with the Craspins Present NFL Total Access pregame show, which includes a sit-down interview with Michael Vick and Deion Sanders. Now joining us on the hotline is Ian Rapoport, who is NFL Media's national insider, and you could follow him on Twitter at Rapsheet. I do so myself. It's a very compelling Twitter account, so let's welcome in Ian Rapoport. Ian, it's Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. from WHIP Radio in Philadelphia. How are you?
I'm good, guys. What's going on?
Nothing much. We appreciate you coming on, and we were texting you before the interview just to confirm that you would be on the air with us, and I was a little surprised that you were in the air and texting us. It seems like you're always connected to that cell phone of yours.
Yeah, apparently there's something on my computer where I can text from my computer, which is actually great because then I can be on the phone and still text at the same time, and you'd be surprised at how often that actually helps. When you can, if you get a text with some news, you can be on the phone talking to someone and tweet it and be connected to three different things at once. It's great.
Well, you've only been in Philadelphia for about 20 minutes, and you're already on the radio with us, so you're doing a good job. But I'm just curious, it is Restaurant Week in Philadelphia. That means a lot of the big fancy places are half off. Do you plan on staying in Philadelphia for a few extra days and maybe going to Del Frisco's, Fogo de Chao, something nice to get some good food in your body after your hard broadcast tonight?
The only thing I really care about in Philadelphia is getting a steak. So I'm going to get my rental car now. I'm going to go either to Tony Luke's or to John's Roast Pork, and I'm going to get me a steak. And Philadelphia is really one of my favorite places. Just for that, it used to be one of my favorite places because of the day after game press conferences with Andy Reid, which were just amazing. But now those no longer exist. So just really for the steaks.
Not a Pats or Geno's guy, Ian?
No, I am, but it's a really fine line.
Yeah.
Those other two places just stand out just a little bit,
You could also see Ian on tonight's Thursday night pregame show and also on NFL Game Day morning on Sunday at 9 a.m. and throughout the week on Around the League Live and NFL Total Access. Ian, it's a big-time game tonight. Andy Reid coming back with the Kansas City Chiefs. Donovan McNabb's going to get his number retired, and Brian Dawkins will lead that ceremony tonight. We've had on Harry Donahue this week, who's a Philadelphia radio legend, Howard Eskin, and as well as Hollis Thomas yesterday. When you look back at this Reid and McNabb era and the run they went on, what do you remember?
Well, it's not like one exciting moment, although there are plenty. I think about, obviously the Super Bowl, you think about T.O. coming back. You also think about, sit-ups in the driveway and other sorts of strange occurrences. But, the main thing that stands out with the Andy Reid and McNabb era was, one, the criticism. And they both received a lot of it. It started with McNabb even before he was an Eagle at the draft. And just the unbelievable string of sustained success. I know they both get criticized because they didn't win a Super Bowl, but to win that much, that often, in that many years in a row is just insane. And if you look around the NFL, it simply does not happen. It seems like both of McNabb and Andy Reid are tied by unappreciated, sustained success, it seems.
Jamal Charles, I saw he was playing this game up, saying it was very important to win it for Andy Reid. Reid has been playing this game down a lot this week. What have you seen from the reaction so far from the Kansas City Chiefs as they get ready for this game tonight on how to deal with this whole Andy Reid returning to Philadelphia?
That's a weird thing because, a lot of times in these situations it turns out to be a revenge game. One coach wants to prove that, he shouldn't have been fired, or, a bunch of players want to play for their guy. But this didn't really feel like that to me because, Andy Reid, talking to him, talking to the people with the Eagles, there was so much positive feelings around the situation, even as he was leaving. We've all seen the clip of him saying goodbye to the people in the, Eagles organization, and it was emotional. I know Andy still has close friends with the Eagles, still feels that they're a classy organization, and I know the feelings are returned, so it's it's really more just Andy Reid returning to a place where he had a lot of feelings, where he shared a lot of emotion, rather than, something where it's like, you want to win one for Andy. I mean, he wants to win the game anyway, but I'm not sure it's really something to prove kind of deal.
Ian, it's Chase Sr. Thanks so much for joining us. There's a fraction of the city that loves Andy Reid. He's here 14 years, 6 division titles, 5 NFC championships. He put the Eagles on the map and made this franchise relevant again. There's also a fraction of the city that does not like Andy Reid because he was a bit smug with the media, and at the end of the day, he didn't bring home the Lombardi Trophy. From a Nationals perspective, which you get to encounter on a daily basis, what do you see the ovation being for Andy Reid tonight?
I hope it's a standing ovation. I don't know what it's going to be because
Me too.
Philadelphia, and you can never tell, which is why it's easily one of my favorite sports towns, because what you get is raw emotion all the time. I really like the writers in this town because they sort of reflect the fan base. I think it's great.
Mm-hmm.
That said, I really hope he gets a standing ovation. I hope he's cheered. I hope for a couple minutes that people of Philadelphia can put aside the little bit of disappointment for not having won a Super Bowl and sort of just appreciate what a guy did for and really an incredible 14-year run of just endless winning that only really kind of took a step back maybe in the last 2 years.
You're with the national media all the time with the NFL Network, and you mentioned that you really like coming to Philadelphia because the fan base is so intense and they love their sports and they're so dedicated to their teams. When you're hanging around a lot of these guys off air and you're just joining in conversations with them, is the consensus that this fan base is a little too harsh, or do a lot of guys just say, hey, this fan base loves their team?
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly the second thing. It's mostly that this fan base loves their team, and it's really hard to criticize a fan base like Philadelphia just for wanting nothing but winning. I mean, just all they want to do is win. All they care about is winning. All they care about is their football team, and yeah, it's harsh. I mean, I think players know that. Players will sort of roll their eyes at it. Because they understand the atmosphere, but the bottom line is you'd rather be in a place where the fans love the team than don't really care very much.
Ian Rapoport from the NFL Network joins us right now. This is the main event with Zach Gelb and Chase Sr. on WHIP Radio here in Philadelphia. And Ian, a big issue for this Eagles team so far through the first 2 games of the season has been their defense. They've been getting dragged up and down the field on a consistent basis. They've been getting no pass rush. And this is a Chiefs team that they don't put up a whole lot of points, but they do have some playmakers on the offensive side of the ball with Dwayne Bowe, Alex Smith, and Jamal Charles. It looks like this is setting up for a nice performance out of the Chiefs offense tonight, the way Philadelphia has been playing on defense.
Yeah, I think we're going to sort of have to change the way we judge the defense, honestly, because they're going to be on the field a lot. They're going to be tired a lot. They're going to be playing more plays than any other defense because the offense is going to be scoring, and the offense is going to be scoring quickly. So, I mean, it's just the way it's going to be. I mean, it's going to have to be a new way of figuring out whether or not the Eagles' defense is successful. And I think a lot of it is going to be, does it hold a team down rather than shut a team out? Because the offense puts it in a tough spot. I mean, and which is great because you like to score in 2 plays in a minute and 15. But it's just a different deal now because they're not going to get a rest. I think they need to get better. I think the Chiefs' offense will probably score tonight, and I think they'll probably do it by keeping the ball and staying on the field. But there's really not much the Eagles' defense can do about it because their offense is going to put them in that position, for better or worse.
Eagles' offense has been electric through 2 weeks. Week 1, they put up 33 points against the Washington Redskins. Last week, they put up 30 against the San Diego Chargers. How surprised have you been with the success rate of this Eagles defense, and how do you think things will play out tonight, given that the Chiefs are 7th against the pass and 2nd against the rush? It's the first true test that the Eagles offense will be going up against.
Yeah, I think it is the first true test, but I don't see why it would be any different. I mean, it's a scheme that few have seen. I mean, I talked to a bunch of coaches during training camp, they're all watching Oregon film to try to figure out what Chip Kelly would do. Now they finally have 2 games to look at, but the Chiefs have 2 games to look at, in a very, very short week. It's an incredible challenge for any coaching staff, and, I don't see why the Eagles' offense wouldn't be in the same position that it was the first 2 games of scoring a ton of points. And, you got guys running free, you have huge lanes for LaShawn McCoy, you have Deshaun Jackson, who is, if you can have another breakout year, that's kind of what he's having. I think the Eagles' offense was the same as it's been.
I know last week it was a different kind of game because they were trailing a lot in that San Diego Chargers loss. Shady in Week 1 had 31 carries and almost put up 200 yards. Last week he only had 11 carries. How many carries do you expect tonight for the explosive Eagles back?
Yeah, see, I think one thing about the Chip Kelly offense is that we're going to have to change the way we view things like this. It's not a traditional offense. They're not going to line up behind center and give it to the running back 30 times. I think we need to start thinking about it in touches, not carries. I don't care how Shady gets the ball. What's the difference? If you turn and throw it to him and he runs for 20 yards, it's a catch, but it's the same thing as if you pitch it to him on a run. That to me, I think he'll probably get it 20 times or 25 times, however much is necessary, maybe more. But I think as far as counting carries, it's not a traditional offense, and a lot of the metrics that we use to figure it out don't really apply anymore, which is good because it makes it harder for defenses too.
Before the season, a lot of experts around the Philadelphia area and a ton of the media put out predictions for how the season would end up for the Philadelphia Eagles. Last year, obviously a horrible season at 4-12, and it's not as though in this city the expectations are too high given that Chip Kelly is a first-year coach. He's making the transition from college to the NFL. But how do you see this season playing out for the Eagles? They're playing in somewhat of a weak division. Is this a playoff team, or is this more of a rebuilding year?
Yeah, and you mentioned the division. I would have said that this was one of the strongest divisions in the NFL until you see the Redskins and Giants go 0-2 and 0-2. That's unexpected. So I think things probably have to look a little bit more positive for the Eagles than it had been because they look so good at times and because the other teams in the division have struggled. Minus the Cowboys, who are 1-1. So, I think they're looking at having every single chance to be a playoff team. And, teams are going to catch up with them a little bit as they get better scouting reports. But, I think they're in good position to make things tough for any opponent and to make the playoffs.
2 more questions with Ian Rapoport from the NFL Network. Ian, I want to move away from the Philadelphia Eagles right now and go to the big trade that happened in the NFL yesterday. I think it caught a lot of us by surprise, Richardson going to the Colts. What's your take on that trade?
It's so early to tell because what we're debating is, Trent Richardson has a Colt who he hasn't played for, and the Browns, versus a Browns player who hasn't been selected yet. I don't know who they're going to pick. I would assume what they're going to do is pick if they finish, 2-14 and get the number 1 pick, then I would think they're going to take a quarterback and then, whoever else late in the round. But, it seems like to me good for both teams. The Colts get a running back they badly needed. They're in a win-now mode. They think they're going to make the playoffs, and I would agree they have a really good shot at that. And, for the Browns, it's a realization that they're not going to be very good this year, and they may not be good next year, and they need to build for the long haul. And, by trading for a first, it's hard to get 2 first-round picks. You got to give up something of value, and they did. They gave up, their number 3 overall pick from a couple of years ago. It's a gamble, but they were 0-2. They were going to lose more games. You're going to lose games with Trent Richardson or without him. So they chose to lose games without him and to get a first-round draft pick, too.
And now moving to the Pats, a team that you've covered before going to the NFL Network. Their health has been a major issue for this team. Rob Gronkowski and Danny Amendola. Are those players close to returning, or are they still a few weeks away?
Well, I think both of them are probably a little bit of a long shot to play this week. I would be really surprised if either played this week. Both are out at practice, but I think probably week 4 you have a realistic chance of getting both those players back. Amendola and the Patriots decided against surgery for his sports hernia. So, that's something where they hope it'll heal over a couple weeks, and he'll be able to go play. And for Gronkowski, he's just trying to get back from multiple arm surgeries and back surgery, and we'll see what happens. But they need it; they really do.
Ian, we appreciate a few minutes today. Enjoy Philadelphia, enjoy the game tonight, and best of luck on the broadcast. And let's talk to you again some other time throughout the season.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, brother.
Ian Rapoport right there of the NFL Network.